Hi, I'm Diane Weissman. I'm a proud IATSE member. It's Valentine's Day, and it's been 1 week since the last Tonight Show aired. I'm going to be interviewing Local 33 members, wonderful family of The Tonight Show. Hi, I'm here with Patrick Steele. He's the head electrician and assistant lighting director. Patrick, how long have you been with The Tonight Show?
I'm in my 32nd year now of the show, and actually started with Johnny Carson in his last 10 years.
Been on the Tonight Show for 28 years.
And you started with Johnny, then went on to
Started
Jay?
with Johnny Carson. I was the head prop man on that show for the last 7 years of Johnny's show, and then right on to this.
So what would I ask you to do as a head prop person?
Make the props. We sit through meetings, go over the scripts with the writers, figure out what they want to do in the bit, and then, we have to manufacture the props, and so I'd work it all out with the writers, and then the shop guys would build all the props, and we'd go out and rehearse it, and if they didn't like it, we'd change the props, and order all the stuff, make sure all the supplies are here, or, do all the set dressing on the stages, keep the set clean, all that kind of stuff. That's what props does on TV.
I started out carpentry on the Tonight Show, filling in for a day here and there. They'd switch me over to props when they needed somebody, and the electric crew, and then bounce me out to do something else. And then one day Greg came to me and said, "Would you like to work steady on the prop crew?" Okay, I'm kind of a foodaholic. I originally came from New York from the restaurant business. And when Greg found that out, he says, "Okay, you do all the food segments." He says, "I don't want anything to do with it. You know what you're doing." He says, "You take care of it."
How long have you been on The Tonight Show?
I've been with Jay for 20 out of 22 and the head carpenter for 7.
Wow, it's hard to leave this family.
Oh, yeah. Second family, from home. And great family here over the years. Everybody just grew to get along, love one another, had a great time.
Oh, can you tell me a little bit about what your job entails?
Well, the main thing is when Jay comes out on the tongue for the monologue, there's 2 spotlights on him the entire time, so that's the main job. And then the electric part is setting up the lights, focusing the lights.
And how long have you been doing this?
On the Jay show, 15 years, and been with NBC just over 31 years.
I'm one of the electricians on the show. I've been with the show about 27 years. I was with Johnny first and then came over with Jay.
I'm in charge of the purchasing, transportation, movement of anything. Right now, I'm like the head out on the main dock, making sure all trucks are moving, making sure everything is going smooth throughout, and making sure that they have the inside crews have what they need, like in supplies and equipment.
And you've been here how many years?
31 years now. Did the last 2.5 years of Johnny, and then moved on to Jay, and been here ever since. I was the summer replacement for on the Johnny Carson, just for I was supposed to replace another guy for the summer, and it's been a long, good run.
That's been a long summer.
Very long summer. It's put 3 girls through private school and put a roof over our heads and put food on the table.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It's been a very good career.
Hey, what is your name and what is your position here?
I'm Robin Lindsay, and I'm a seamstress for The Tonight Show. Well, I worked for NBC when Johnny was here. So it's been a long time. I work directly for Tonight Show now because NBC isn't on the lot anymore. When I started in the union, there was very, very few women in the union. So that was kind of a breakthrough at the time.
I've been with Local 33 now since 1984. Started in 1983, had my time broken there, but that's okay. Came back in 84, been with Jay for 22 years on and off. Did work with Carson before that.
What was Jay like?
What I enjoyed about with Jay was he was just one of the crew members. He wanted to sit there with us, he wanted to tell jokes, he wanted to jive.
Jay was very fond of us and always gave us recognition, always told us how proud he was of us, and it's going to be missed.
Jay is a good boss, and right on down, everybody's been really fantastic to work for.
I remember that he used to give security here a very hard time when he was substituting for Johnny Carson. He would drive his motorcycle up on the stage into the set, and security, you'd have 5 of the guys in white shirts chasing him down, get out, and they didn't realize that he was going to become the next permanent host of the Tonight Show at that time.
Did they make him get out? Did he leave his motorcycle off?
Yeah. He was very gracious about it. He was very gracious about it. He understood. He just likes to have a good time like the rest of us.
There was always laughter. Or somebody made a joke of it, especially Jay. You know, it was part of the show. You know, so if anything went awry or anything went bad, he made a joke of it. He laughed, and it was no big deal.
During the writer's strike, Jay kept working. He was writing on his own, and this lot would have closed down. A lot of people would have lost their jobs if it hadn't been for Jay. He kept people able to keep their kids in college. It helped get them through. It kept people from losing their houses, because this entire lot would have closed down at the time. And because that show stayed taping, everybody still had a job. And it wasn't just 33 that had a job. It was the restaurants in the area, the florists, the caterers, everybody in the whole area. He kept a lot of people working for a long time, and it was really we were all very grateful to Jay for that. I don't even know if he realizes how grateful we are, because Jay's very non-assuming, and a lot of people appreciate what he does quietly behind the scenes.
Local 33 can be proud of Jay just as much as Jay's proud of us.
I have Tom Patino here.
Hello.
Tom, you're the bigwig.
No, but I will say I probably am the one management person on this show who has the most dealings, closest relationship with the IA personnel, because I'm the guy who puts in their calls every day to the hall. I'm the one who hires them. I'm the one who pays them. So
Wow.
I'm their favorite person, actually.
You're Santa Claus.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, you know. But I'm the one who also handles their problems and their complaints, and kind of oversees the day-to-day operations on the stage. And it's been an honor to do that on this show for 22 years. 22
years you were here with Johnny?
I've been on this lot for 39. You know, it was really nice. This show, people could have a life. You know, they knew, especially our stage crew, they knew they were in at 8 and they were out of here by 6. You know, they could make a life. They could plan things. On other shows, you can't always do that.
And you have weekends off?
Oh, always. Well, once in a while we would work weekend if we're getting ready for a big show on Monday night. But for the most part, people had a life here, you know.
Hey, Tom, how did you get started? How did you get on this lot?
I was a college student, and my dream was to work in television. And I was applying, and the same way people do today, as a matter of fact. I know the entry-level job for college students was to be an NBC page, and I got hired as an NBC page. And ironically, my first day on the job, when I put on my uniform, they sent me over to the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and it was my first show I ever worked in the audience, seeing the audience. And it's gone all full circle, and you never think where you're going to end up doing in 30 years, and then you end up on the Tonight Show, you know, in a little more elevated position, but it's just strange how things happen. Yeah, I was a page, NBC page, proud of it too.
Who was your favorite performer?
Yeah, I was gonna say some of the old timers. Don Rickles was always fun backstage, you know, telling jokes before he went out on stage. All the way down to Will Smith. I was with him for years on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and he always clowned around, played jokes on each other. And so when they came here, you know, like Will, he would right back like it was the old days, just goofing around again. And it was just fun to see a lot of the older comedians come through here that have been around for years, and some people didn't know who they were, and we did,
right.
You know, and listen to them backstage. It was just always fun. It was always laughter.
Steve Martin was part of Johnny's poker group, and he did some really great shows. He came out on one show one night where he walked out, regular entrance, sat down in the chair. He said to Johnny, he says, one moment, I'm not comfortable here. And we had put in a sofa bed where the couch is. And Steve had tore off his suit down to PJs with a little hat on. He pulled out the couch, got in bed under the covers, and he said, okay, now I'm ready for my interview. You know, and it was just like we all do. That was America at the time, was we were used to being in bed at 11:30 and turn on Johnny Carson.
I think probably one of the greatest shows was when we had Hugh Grant on, and that was during the time that Hugh Grant was caught with a prostitute, and that's when the show took off like wildfire. And I think from that moment on, it's just been a race. And that's probably one of my best episodes.
Garth Brooks is a very nice guy too, very good with everybody and very nice, and comes and says hello, make sure, and he remembers your name. like in with Ronnie, which you just interviewed, one time he comes over, his kids are the same age as mine. So he comes over and we were talking and he says, excuse me one moment. He turned around and he says, hi, I don't think I've had the pleasure. I'm Garth Brooks and you are? And he said, to Ron, and Ronnie goes, whoa.
And Jonathan Winters and Robin came on the same night one night, and it was incredibly funny. I was on a front light for that, I recall, and they were hilarious. I almost fell out of my chair. They were so hilarious. But they couldn't leave. They were on their feet. They couldn't even sit down. They were playing with the audio boom. They were reaching up for that. They were running at the cameras, and it was just incredibly funny. And I'll never forget that, the two of them, because Jonathan Winters alone was hilarious. Oh, yeah. Robin Williams alone was hilarious. But they were both certifiably, I think, just a little bit crazy.
The one thing I think was one of the funniest things that ever happened is that Johnny Carson had a hat that would open up and this figure would pop out of the top of it. It was an Abe Lincoln-like hat. It was radio controlled. I believe Chuck Hughes, one of our other 33 members, built the hat, and the thing kept malfunctioning. We couldn't figure out why, and we went through rehearsal and show and everything. The thing was freaking out. We couldn't understand what it was. It was a kid with a remote control car next door playing with his remote control, and it was actuating the hat that Chuck built. And to this day, I still think it was one of the funniest things in the world, because everybody ran around in circles trying to figure out why it wouldn't work. And once we found that kid, we wrestled away his remote control, and everything was fine.
And we put him in the local 33.
Yeah, right. Give him a union card.
As much as I loved working with Jay Leno, I got to reach back to Johnny years. I really have to reach back to some of the Johnny years. And I think one of my favorites, and I talked to my wife about it, was one of the shows with him and Betty White in the Malibu restaurant during the 83 floods, I think we had, from the rains we had in the year of 83. And we set up a set with Johnny and Betty White in a restaurant, a Malibu restaurant, and we special effects set up water tanks where the windows were. And at one point, it was a romantic dinner, and they were talking and chatting, and then they opened the windows, and this water washed in, flooded in the floors. Well, they did one amount, and they stopped, and then they brought it in again. They opened the windows, and it knocked Betty White on the floor. And Betty White was on the floor floundering like a fish on the floor, and Johnny had to actually get up and pick her up because it was so much water. They actually let too much water out. And so she was almost drowning on the floor. So that was one of the ones for me that was very memorable.
You've seen a lot of shows with the Johnny Carson show and with the Jay Leno show. Is there a favorite episode of either or both of those shows?
You can never really pinpoint that because there's so many good ones on both shows. Yeah. I could never, that's so hard to say.
How did you like those animals?
Well,
the zoos.
They were great on both shows, and Jay got really well. I mean, Johnny was known for that. But you know what? Jay got really good at it, too. Whenever animals would come, it turned out to be one of our favorite segments. That's why we started bringing animals on a lot, because Jay was really good with animals. Johnny was great, too, but boy, Jay really had a way with animals and made our segments really funny.
The animals always seemed to get the best of him, or something would happen, and but like I said, it was just always fun.
Did animals get around backstage and get loose?
We had some loose. We had, I can't remember what it was called. It was a little, it was sort of a little monkey. And I can't remember, spider monkey. And it got loose for days under the set.
It's a very expensive monkey that was loose for 3 days. And one of our guys was the one that caught him.
Nobody from the zoo.
Nobody from the zoo. The zoo people actually spent the night and all that. They would put food out and wait for him and nothing. Oh. He was in the back having coffee and donuts.
And now that monkey is a 33 member?
We get him an honor card.
Honor card.
We even had a close call one day in rehearsal with Juliet Prowse with one of the cats, one of the wild cats. I forget what it was, if it was a panther or something like that. And in rehearsal, we had a panther go wild and actually attacked Juliet Prowse in rehearsal, and that was pretty exciting. But all the
do you blame that tiger going after Juliet Prowse?
It was pretty scary. It was pretty, because it was real, and they had to take her away in an ambulance over here and get her checked out. She got a few stitches. She ended up being okay, but it was really exciting. That was in rehearsal, thank God, and not the show.
They never learned that if you bring a bird into the stage, the first thing it does, it goes right up into the grid. And I mean, you see all these zoo people up there chasing after these poor birds and that.
We had a big elephant on stage, and instead of, obviously it doesn't fit through the backstage, so we opened up what they call the elephant doors. big enough for an elephant to get through off stage. And when we opened the doors and he walked in, he had a little too much to drink that day. So he kind of relieved himself. It was one of the most foulest odors you ever smelled, and it just ran right on down the stage, out the elephant door.
A lot of the productions are leaving LA. Where do you see the union going?
Well, I know with the film companies, that was a precursor with the film unions going to Canada, Vancouver, and Toronto, and we're the TV staging. It's a little different situation with 33, and we've slowly seen that with the sitcoms. We were very busy with sitcoms in Local 33. Game shows. My God, when I started here, you couldn't walk down the hallway without getting knocked in by a game show set. It was so busy.
We did every game show in the world right here on this lot in Burbank, which is now called the Burbank Studios. But when it was NBC Studios, this was the game show capital of the world, and Local 33 did every one of them. It's just amazing how many game shows we did over the years. And we were sitcom nation too as well. There might be one sitcom or two sitcoms at another station. We had 7 or 8 at a time going here. Wow. Yeah, that was a big deal.
When I got here, it was like a metropolis. There were so many people. Now you can walk from one end to the other end and never see anybody. Wow. It's like turned into a ghost town.
We had so much TV work, and I miss that, especially now that I'm going into semi-retirement. Right. I would love to be able to work. I'm a TV guy. Right. We're a diversified union, which has been terrific. We have the theater and the TV, but I've turned into a TV guy, which is okay, and I'm going to miss, a lot of the shows. We just don't do them like we had.
The radio the other day, I was listening to the mayor of Burbank, and she was talking about there's other shows coming in there, and hopefully there'll be more employment. They're out there shopping, and they want to keep this lot busy. So hopefully with our local based right here in Burbank, we'll keep our fingers crossed, and everybody will be employed.
Tell me what it was like being part of that 33 family.
Well, you know what? It's probably teamwork is the best word to describe any episode that we have here, is because it does take a team to put everything together. And we had the best here.
I really couldn't. I mean, it was like working with family every day. Laughs, even the tension and the stress on the days where you have to rush to get this done. Will I get this done on time and everything? And you come out, smelling like a rose because you did it. Right. And it's the environment's been fantastic.
Call the hall every night. I talk to wonderful people like Randy Pitkin and Liz lately, who's been a good one, who's been on the desk, and they always seem to be happy when I call them. I mean, because they know me, and they because I usually call and I chat first about how things going. Yeah, and I can tell if they're swamped and there's a lot of phones ringing, so I make it quick. But no, I have a nice working relationship with the union in the hall and all the members. I always have an open door. They always come and talk to me. I try to handle their problems, solve their problems, help them with their problems. And no, it's and a lot of them I call them friends, members of our staff in IA33.
You're like the Godfather. You've been good to a Local 33.
Yeah, I like to think so. I like to think so, sure.
If you could describe in one word how you're feeling about saying goodbye to The Tonight Show, what would that word be?
I would have to say the best description would be blessed. To work with a group of people like this in an environment like this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I couldn't have asked for anything more.
I think everybody all week has been saying it's kind of bittersweet. It feels good that you've been on a run this long, but it's also, sad that it's coming to an end.
Grateful. Yeah.
Sadness. I wish it was a good run, but I wish there was a few more years in it. I think Jay had it in him for a few more years, but it's been a very, very good show to work for.
Bittersweet. Bittersweet.
Awesome. I know that's probably been used 100 times, but it's that awesome of an experience. It really, and there was never a show like The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. It was a lot more than just a late night talk show. We really, really did things that I don't think anybody will ever do again.
Just sad. I hate to say that, but it is sad. I mean, this show was so good to us, all of us, and I don't think you'll hear anything negative from anyone. This show, I've actually been told from people around the industry that they refer to our show as the country club because this was the place to be, The show always treated us well. They gave us, they gave us gifts. They never, Christmas gifts. I mean, they bring food trucks here all the time. They really treated us special, and I don't know if you see that on other shows.
Yeah.
And it was a wonderful show to work for. So when I say sad, it's only because if I was going to continue on, I know I would never find a show like this.
Yeah.
This is a one-of-a-kind show. And I don't know what you've heard from the other members, but I bet they all say the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Local 33, for the great interviews and for the memories.
We really are the best at television and theater. We're the best that can be hired, the most experienced, the most professional, and I only hope, for good times for Local 33. I really do, and the best for them. And like myself, I'm heading into the towards retirement years, and Local 33 has been nothing but great to me and really taking care of me and my family. And I love Local 33. I really do.